I should do it like Steve from Blue's Clues. Oh, hey guys. I don't know. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Wow, I don't even upload here anymore. I got some really cool new liners from Gavizi Cosmetics. They used to be Glam Vice, but they have changed their name, so they have this big 80% off sale with a bunch of liners. So I asked my friend Ryan to send me like an inspo picture of some liner to do, and he sent me this with some trio chromes that I have. So I'm going to be recreating this on my eyes today using these shades here. He did have a green, but the green that he has versus the green that I have are two kind of completely different tones. So I decided to take this teal instead and just see how that goes with it. And I figured I haven't filmed a tutorial in a million years, it feels. I'm very active on my Instagram. If you don't follow me there, it's right there. I also have like a history / makeup TikTok, which is this name, which is different than my Instagram name, but I kind of want to change my Instagram name, but I don't know. Let's get into it. Full-time work is kicking my ass in that I hadn't gotten a full-time job ever. I hadn't had one until January of this year when I started my job at the presenting organization that I'm at currently. I mean, pre-pandemic I worked 2 jobs in like 60 hours, so I would really honestly consider that full-time. You know, the pandemic has let me reflect on a lot of things and just how important my time is because we never get enough of it. So I got to leave a little bit early today. I stayed 12.5 hours on Saturday for this show we were presenting. So I said, you know what, let me take some time off. Life has been pretty up and down. One of the newest developments is I got my first cold in a 1.5 years. It's about as exciting as I remember. It's not as bad as when I used to have the cold. See, one of the like key Megan things, one of the things I'm known for is getting sick around winter time with a sickness that takes my voice out. I usually get, I like to call it my man voice. I get laryngitis and it always attacks, I guess, my vocal cords. I really don't know what makes my voice sound so manly. I remember before the pandemic I was taking an acting for the camera class in Manhattan, and I had an audition that day for a 13-year-old girl. And I was like, cool, no problem. And then I woke up and I sounded very deep like this. And I was like, oh, this is not good. So I went into class and I didn't say anything to anybody. And then, you know, we were explaining like we had to do this scene and it was one of our last classes. And I raised my hand and the teacher was like, yes. And I was like, so I sound like this. And everyone like laughed at me and I was like, okay. So then during our scene I had a teacher timeout, so that it was my audition. I had a teacher timeout and I was like, what happens, because I do sound like this and you know I do have an audition for a short tomorrow. I have a callback and so I really want to do my best, but I obviously I don't normally sound like this and I'm auditioning for a 13-year-old girl. And she was like, you know what, just be like, hey, before I start this audition, just know like I'm just incredibly sick. And it worked, but like 2 weeks later the pandemic hit, so I never know what happened with that. I'm taking some Auric. This is the OG Morganite. They just reformulated this to be a little bit less warm pink, I'm gonna say. And I'm just taking it with a Spectrum KJH08 brush. I'm buffing it into the brush and I'm kind of using this as a second primer for a glowy base. I'm just working it into the bristles as Miss Katie Jane Hughes herself does. And I'm just gonna kind of dust this definitely in like the highlighty portions of my face because this gives the most beautiful lit from within glow. I have a Fenty foundation, the original one, and it's a little too matte for me on my own, but if I mix it in with a bit of this, it just looks gorgeous. And I'm gonna leave my head mostly, I'm just gonna put it a little bit right here because I don't want my head to be too shiny, but look at that beautiful glow it gives. So what's been new with everybody here? I hope we've all been, you know, safe and happy and healthy. I'm on that same brush just taking some of this Clinique Even Better Refresh Makeup and Repairing, Hydrating and Repairing Makeup. So I'm just taking this on that same 08 brush from Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes, and I'm just buffing this into the skin. Doing the same thing as I did before, which is like really building this into the bristles because this gives a nice wash. I don't feel like I'm ever over foundationized. That's a new word. I'm kind of really into the whole like natural face look, especially like in the time of filters. I hate filters now because I've always had issues with my nose. I'm Hungarian and my family affectionately calls our nose Hungarian honkers. I guess it's just normal for Hungarians to have like pretty large noses. So filters tend to make my nose much smaller, and I suffer from body dysmorphia. I battle it all the time, and one thing I cannot stand is when they change my nose, because I feel like it's such a big part of my identity. Now that I've accepted that my nose is a little bit bigger than everyone else's, and that is fine, I just want to live my truth and not hide it. So I've been trying to do filter free, and from filter free kind of came this idea of fresh my skin makeup. For my concealer, I'm on a Clinique train. Again, this was like one of those diamond rewards thing. They had, when the Even Better concealer from Clinique came out, they had if you purchase like $25, you get a free concealer. And of course I would want to get a free concealer. Concealer is one of my favorite makeup products. So I got this one in the shade CN02 Breeze, which is one of the lightest shades. And even though it's cool neutral, it is quite pink. Like both of these, even though they say cool neutral, because they don't have a true neutral shade, it's either warm or cool, and I feel like I tend to be more on the cooler side if we had to pick. This is just like very, very, very pink. Now it works in the concealer because I feel like it covers up my dark circles quite well, but if this was a foundation, like if the foundation was this pink, I think I'd have a big problem with it. So I'm gonna go kind of out of order because we're doing a lot on the eyes. I'm just priming my lids with the concealer, and then I'm putting a little bit below, and we're going to start with that, and then I'm going to move on to eyes today because we are dealing with liners and I do want to have cleanup, and I don't want to mess up and have to redo my entire makeup. Look at how beautiful this concealer is. It really is so fresh and dewy. It's not too full coverage. Like, it covers my veins, it covers my discoloration on my eyes, but it doesn't take out everything, so you can still see them peeking through. It really feels like a very my skin but better. Isn't what's called Even Better concealer? Yeah, it's really beautiful, and because of the pinkness in it, it cancels out darkness really exceptionally well, which because I never sleep, or I never get enough sleep, you know, it's quite important. So this is what it looks like blends out, and blended out I feel like this is quite a perfect shade for me. It looks really nice. Just setting my face with a little bit of, not my face, just setting my eyes with a little bit of Laura Mercier powder, and I'm just concentrating it on my lid. I'm going in with the Persona Cosmetics Color Theory Pink palette, and I'm going to take the shade Taupe Pink and mix it with the shade Pink, because Ryan has in this picture my lid being pink. So I'm taking it on the Spectrum 10 brush. This was one of my also favorite quarantine purchases, this Katie Jane Hughes set. It is a little bit expensive. It was 250 American dollars, 159 pounds. So I looked at it for the first two restocks and I was like, no, I just can't afford that. And then on the last restock I was like, but you know, pandemic is happening. I've lived through a pandemic. I've been really safe. I'm just going to treat myself to this brush set, and it's the best money I've ever spent. I really like, if these are dirty and I have to use other brushes, I really lament that, and it makes me very unhappy. So I'm just doing this nice wash. The Taupe Pink, the reason I mixed it was just to cool down the pink, because on their own these shadows are really pigmented. Persona has a beautiful eyeshadow formula, but they are quite bright, and I didn't want it to be too bright that it took away from the colors that we will be doing liner wise. Moving on to liner. I'm gonna start with the shade Soda Pop. Okay, so I'm just kind of saturating this brush here, and I decided to start up here. He has kind of like right above the crease this line, and then above that a line above that. So this is only a half thing, so I'm just gonna start it from, and I'm gonna look straight up. I'm not gonna like move my liner because I have to account for the fact that I have hooded lids. Now that I have that rough line, I can go back in. Sorry, there's gonna be very little talking for this. So I just cleaned it up. You saw what it looked like when I first started. The beauty of starting small is you can always make the lines thicker, and luckily the lines looked pretty thick in this. It's not awful. I'm going to clean that up in a little bit though. I really like these Glam Vice brushes. They are stiffer than my by Mila Lopes brushes, which I adore with all my heart. But because of that, I feel like for me it's easier to do detailed line work like this. On a little brush like this is the KJH X Spectrum 09 brush. I'm going to take a little bit of the moisturizer I used in the beginning, and I'm just going to buff it into the bristles, and we're just going to clean up the line that way. Essentially, I'm just pushing down with this brush in order to take off some of the line pigment. I think I'm going to leave the line that thick and fix it on this side instead, because I did mess up quite a lot, but we're not messing up. This is Ryan's vision. I'm just trying to create it the best I can. I'm going to go now for the color on the top, which is the Trio Chrome in the shade Venus. And do something like this to go over the liner. I've been into watching cult documentaries recently. I watched one called Wild Wild Country on the Rajneeshi in Oregon, and that was crazy. I just watched the QAnon one on HBO, which was incredibly eye-opening. I think as the historian part of me is always wondering, how does this happen and how does it keep happening? What is the cycle? And from the few I've seen, I also watched one on Nexum, and then I watched one on Scientology. I've watched multiple on Scientology. I really don't understand that one at all, but I think the one factor that really truly encompasses it is that people are scared and people want an all-knowing being. Like, I essentially think that is how religion was founded, this all-knowing being. I'm not bashing religion here, I'm just kind of stating like my own scientific fact. That's how I think people look to religion, because they need something to believe in. They want to know there's something bigger, right? And when the world loses this sense of meaning, when things are going so wrong that you really just cannot believe this is happening, this is reality, you look to other things to justify what's happening. Well, why could this happen? Like, one big person must be pulling the strings, right? And that's what it seems like for QAnon. Rajneeshpuram was something completely different. That was more like a religious cult. And that one, in practice, seemed like it really helped a lot of people. It was started as like a meditative religious cult. The thing is, the higher ups, like in most governments and or big things that happen, kind of messed it up completely. It's I mean, they tried to murder somebody. Crazy. But that is what I found in my time watching cult documentaries. If you have any that you suggest, let me know and I will take a look at them, because while I do spreadsheets at work, I like to listen to things. I've tried audiobooks because that would just help me as a history major, like learn a lot of things, but I can't listen to history audiobooks. I need to physically like highlight and underline and read and hold a physical book for history. It's very hard for me to learn on ebooks and audiobooks. So documentaries is where it is at right now. I've been watching a few true crime documentaries as well. Now I'm going to take this shade Evergreen, and then he has me doing a sort of like ... wing, so that's cool. He has a little dots in between, so we're going to add the little dots in between here. That was fucking sick, man. That looks fucking sick. Okay. And then the last color that he had picked was, I got this iridescent white called Moonwalk. It literally is just a white iridescent. It looks super cool. So he wants me to do a little cat eye thing on the inside and then add some dots with that as well, which I think is such a fucking bomb idea. This looks fucking sick, fam. This looks really fucking sick. Pre-pandemic, Ryan and I were going to do makeup on my channel together, but I have not really seen him since the pandemic started, unfortunately. He's just a very talented makeup artist, but he does stage makeup. Now we're officially done with the water ink session. For bronzer today, I actually have it in my lap. I'm using the Fenty Cream Bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit, and I'm taking it on a bronzer brush from Alamar Cosmetics. This is the only other brush beside the Katie Jane Hughes brushes that I've been using consistently. It's like almost, it's lumpy on the top, and so I feel like it really blends this product into the skin beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. And when I'm blending, I'm just being very gentle. I like to pull it kind of into my cheek area here. And then I'm going to take for blush, this is the M Cosmetics Serum Blush in Venetian Rose. I have been dying to try M Cosmetics for so long, so I ended up getting 2 of their blushes. One was a cream, this one, and then one was a powder, which was Faded Clementine, which is absolutely beautiful. These are quite pigmented, so you do not need a lot of them. I'm actually going to take this on my finger today and then blend it out. Such a beautiful flush of color though. Look at how gorgeous that is. So nice. It's just going to be a little bit more of this auric. It's almost like a balm. It looks so good. Yay. So the face of base, that is done. And now we're going to move on to other things. I'm taking the Persona Cosmetics lip liner in the shade Almond. So this is pretty much a My Lips But Better liner. And then I'm just going to finish off the lips with a bit of this Rowan liquid lip balm in the shade Charlie. I don't like Tarte as a company anymore, but god damn, this mascara is so good. I'm going to go dip back into that Persona palette and just take those 2 shades again on that number 10 brush. Tap off the excess. And run that very lightly under my eyes. But this is the completed look using what my friend told me to do, and I love it. It feels so beautiful. Alright, I'm just gonna take my hair down, do a few little beauty shots to start this off with. I didn't talk anything about what I wanted to. It's a kind of a rambling nothingness video, so I'm sorry for that. Oh. Hello? Hello?
Hi, what's up?
Oh, I just did your makeup, so I wanted to show you.
Oh.
It looks fucking sick, Ryan. Just continue to be safe. I'm going to try to make some more content. Stay tuned for my pandemic part 1 favorites, because this pandemic's going to last for another year at least, so we'll have a pandemic part 2. Stay safe out there. Get vaccinated if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.